My name's Vince Taskunas. I'm General Manager for Communication and Advocacy for RACT. RACT has organised the forum in collaboration with a number of different people, and we've invited people who we see as important stakeholders in the issue of trying to increase safety, child restraint safety, to reduce the risk of serious injury and fatality for infants and young Tasmanians in our community. So that's why all you are here, and it was very good of you to accept our invitation and come along. And we have a couple of guest speakers for you today. I wanted to ask for your indulgence so that I could talk for just a few minutes about why we're doing this and what RACT is doing about it, and then I will introduce our first speaker. Our little forum and all of you in our little room fits into a global picture, and the global picture is the United Nations commitment to reducing road fatalities and serious injuries by 20% over the next decade, which is a huge commitment. It's a bigger task in some countries where there are much higher road tolls and much lower levels of road safety and education and enforcement than, for example, in Australia or New Zealand, where we are relatively developed. But there's certain things that we are still not doing as well as we could, and one of those, unfortunately, is in the area of child restraints. And the UN at the global level has said that this is the case and has set reducing child restraint risk as one of its key goals in the Decade of Action Plan. So it's not just us and it's not just some less developed countries, it's the whole world that needs to protect its infants and young passengers better than what we're doing at the moment. So we, RACT, have always acted in the benefit of members and the wider motoring community to try and reduce risk and get better road safety outcomes. So we're using our voice and our advocacy to work on our little patch, if you like, and try and make our contribution to the UN Decade of Action target. And in fact, our first speaker, Dr. Williams, who is a member of, she's in fact the chair of the Tasmanian Council of Obstetric and Paediatric Mortality and Morbidity, her council produced a report in 2010, and in the report, apart from some really quite disturbing figures, there was a call from the council for organisations and the community to do more in terms of educating and making people aware about the issues around child restraint safety. So RACT took that call very seriously, and we have dedicated our champion advocacy project, if you like, over the next 3 years to doing a series of actions to reduce the levels of fatalities and serious injuries for infants and young Tasmanians with respect to seat belts and specifically, for our purposes, child restraints. Again, it's only sort of small numbers, but when you look at the comparisons between all of the states and territories, unfortunately, Tasmania has the highest per capita level of deaths and serious injuries for that group of people, those most vulnerable road users, if you like, infants and passengers. And what the council's report also highlighted was that transport-related, in the main, driving cars, transport-related reasons are the highest reason for deaths and serious injuries here in Tasmania in that age group. So away from talking and doing a whole lot of talk about things, we can actually, we believe, do something very concrete to reduce the level of risk for these young Tasmanians, and that involves people using appropriate child restraints more in Tasmania. And so we're turning our attention to that, and we think that all of you can also play a part in your areas of endeavour, whether it be in the early childhood education industry, whether it be in terms of enforcement or government agencies, whether it be in terms of letting people know through our parliamentarians what the issues are here, because what we've discovered very early on in the piece is people just don't know what the rules are. They don't know what the rules are, and they don't know that if they have their children in an appropriate child restraint for the age, facing the right way and doing the right things by the road rules, in fact they don't even know what the road rules are, if they're doing these things, they will in fact be making their children safer. So we've asked our speakers today to tell us a little bit more about the why and the what and the how, what the crashes look like, what the health professionals' experience is, why we need to do this. And I am really aware also of the fact that it's a federal parliamentary sitting week, and we did invite our federal representatives and our state representatives to attend, because we believe that the politicians have a really good opportunity to help us raise awareness and build education levels. Unfortunately, they're all in Canberra, but there are in the room a number of people who have answered the call from our federal parliamentary officers, staffers, and being one of them that I used to be, I know that those people are often even more influential in getting the message out, so we really appreciate the fact that you're here as well. And we also are really appreciative of the fact that one of our local state members, Elise Archer, is here, and so she'll be taking the message directly back as well. So thank you for attending. But I guess to conclude my comments, I want everybody here to go away from today a little bit more aware of the issues. I know that the reason why you're all here is because you are aware of the issues in your professional lives, but potentially, hopefully today you'll get a couple of different pictures of why we're doing this and why we have to say what we're saying today. And then hopefully when you hear RACT or Kids Safe, and Jenny Branch is here today, thanks very much for coming, talking about these sorts of issues over the next years, you'll understand a little bit more about how it all fits together and what we're trying to achieve. So with that, I would like to introduce Dr. Michelle Williams. As I said, Michelle is the Chair of Tasmania's Council of Obstetric and Paediatric Mortality and Morbidity. It is the Council's job to have a look at these issues and investigate the deaths of young people in Tasmania. And Dr. Williams is also a consultant paediatrician with the Royal Hobart Hospital here, and she's a senior lecturer at the University of Tasmania. She is a really busy health professional who has lots to do in her life, including saving the lives of young kids, young Tasmanians. But she's taken a bit of time off for us today to talk to us about what the issues really are and how she sees it. Really appreciate your time. Thanks very much, Dr. Williams.